The constitution of Medina was made during this time when the clans who accepted Muhammad as God's prophet formed a group. It was important because it showed that the Muslim community saw itself as separate from others. The constitution also told how non-Muslims could be a part of the community. Jews, for instance, were part of the group but had to follow its laws. Christians and Jews could have their religion and pay a small tax, and they were like members of the Muslim state. People who believed in many gods weren't accepted as the community worshipped only one god. Around this time, Muhammad sent letters to leaders of different lands, invited them to join Islam. This showed how confident the small Muslim group was, even though they were not strong militarily. Muhammad built alliances, and by 628, he could ask to enter the Kaaba. This was a big deal, as he had left his birthplace to make an Islamic state in Medina. Now, his old enemies retreated him like a leader. In 629, he went back to Mecca and took control peacefully, destroying idols and setting an example for future conquests. Some of his fiercest enemies, like Amr ibn al-As and Khalid ibn al-Walid, even became his followers. 3 years later, in 632, Muhammad got sick and died. His death was a big loss. His followers saw him as more than a friend or leader. He was an example of the Quran's teachings. His death didn't change the society he created, and his main mission continued, to spread the Quran. As Abu Bakr said, if you worship Muhammad, know that he is gone. But if you worship Allah, know that Allah is alive and doesn't die. After Muhammad's passing, the Muslims community faced a question: who would lead them now? 4 people stood out as potential leaders: Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Uthman ibn Affan, and Ali ibn Abi Talib. They were all respected and capable. At the meeting, Umar showed support for Abu Bakr, making him the new leader. This leader was called a Caliph, meaning a successor to Muhammad. Abu Bakr's time as Caliph was brief but important. He lived simply and led well. He disciplined the tribes that had left Islam after Muhammad's death. He also strengthened the Muslim community and took on powerful empires like the Sassanians and Byzantines. Umar, the second Caliph chosen by Abu Bakr, continued this legacy. He extended Islam's rule over lands like Syria, Egypt, Iraq, and Persia. He ruled as commander of the believers and achieved astonishing victories in just 4 years. The Muslim state even showed remarkable tolerance in newly conquered territories. For example, in Damascus, a treaty was signed ensuring safety for the people, their poverty, and churches. Muslims administered the conquered places with kindness and fairness. Umar's administration was impressive. He used existing Byzantine and Persian administrations where possible. The regions kept their languages like Greek and Pahlavi for years. Umar's 10-year rule also marked a big win over the Persian Empire and the Battle of Nihawand. His leadership was known for justice, social ideals, and effective governance. His influence on social welfare, taxes, and the empire's organization left a lasting impact. Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second leader of Islam, was attacked and wounded by a Persian slave named Abu Lullah while he was leading the Fajr prayer. When Umar was seriously ill, those around him asked him to choose who should follow him. Umar picked a group of 6 people to decide on the next leader among themselves. This group included Ali ibn Abi Talib, Uthman ibn Affan, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, Az-Zubair ibn al-Awam, and Talha ibn Ubaid Allah. They were important friends of the Prophet and were promised a place in the paradise during their lives. Umar's instructions were for the election committee to choose the new leader in 3 days, who would start their role on the 4th day. When 2 days went by without a decision, the members became worried about running out of time. Abdur Rahman ibn Auf said he would give up his own claim if others agreed to accept his decision. Everyone agreed to let Abdur Rahman choose the new leader. He talked to each nominee and asked the people of Medina for their opinions. Eventually, he picked Uthman as the new leader because most of the people wanted him. Uthman led a simple life, even though he was the leader of the Islamic State. He could have lived luxuriously because he was a successful businessman, but he wasn't interested in that. His main goal was to experience happiness in the afterlife. He knew this world is a temporary and a test. Uthman's kindness continued when he became the leader. Normally, leaders were paid from the treasury, but Uthman never took money for serving Islam. Not only that, he started a tradition of freeing slaves every Friday, taking care of widows and orphans, and giving a lot of charity. His ability to stay patient and strong made him a successful leader. Uthman achieved a lot during his time as leader. He worked on bringing peace to Persia, defended the Muslim state against the Byzantines, added present-day Libya to the empire, and gained control over much of Armenia. Through his cousin Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, who was the governor of Syria, Uthman also established an Arab navy that had important battles against the Byzantines. But what was really important for Islam was Uthman's work on the Quran. He collected the correct verses and destroyed the versions that had mistakes to make sure that the message from Allah stayed intact. This is the same text that Muslims still use today. While he was a leader, Uthman had a lot of problems with the new Muslims in newly Islamic lands. They accused him of not following the Prophet's example and the earlier leaders in how he governed. But the Prophet's friends always defended him. These accusations didn't change his behavior. He kept being kind and caring. Even when his enemies attacked him, he didn't use the treasury money to protect himself or his house. As Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, predicted, Uthman's enemies made governing tough by always opposing him. Eventually, his opponents planned against him. They surrounded his house and urged people to kill him. Many of his advisors wanted him to stop the attack, but he didn't until he was killed while reading the Quran. Just like the Prophet had said, Uthman died as a martyr. Thank you for watching this video till the end. I hope it had a good educational value for you and you learned something what you didn't know. If you are interested in Islamic content, you can subscribe this channel to support me. You can give me a like if you like this video and write a comment below the video. See you in the next video. Allah Hafiz.